A very good evening to all viewers. I am Aparna. I am the host and moderator for today's Pick a Book Flipside series. It's an honor to be doing this job today. I am a company secretary student and I'm also into content writing. So, before we get into the main agenda for today, let us look at what Pick a Book is. We are a global movement and we have been fast growing globally. And for those of you who are new to Pick a Book, here's a little bit uh, about our vision. So it's all about reading and reading. So it is about inculcating the habit of reading, research, and presenting the summary of it in our regular meeting sessions. We create a better world by changing the sense of self through the habit of reading. That is the vision of Pick a Book. You can find us on pickabook.club, and we are also present on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So you can drop us a message there if you would like to join this global movement. About Flipside series. So to throw a little bit light about what we will get to see today is that in Flipside series, we members of different clubs come together to present a book or two where we discuss the topics and we get insights and guidance and a lot of takeaways. So I once again welcome all the guests, members, and viewers with who are with us here today in the live session. And I'd like to welcome and introduce to you the stars of today, the panelists, Dr. Mona Shroff and Mr. Upul Nawaratne. So, firstly, I'd like to introduce Dr. Mona Shroff.
Hi,
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
good evening.
So, Dr. Mona Shroff is an MD in obstetrics and gynecology from MS University of Baroda. She has worked as an assistant professor in gynecology at Surat Municipal Institute of Medical Education and Research from 2003 to 2008 to follow the passion of teaching and as a service to the government. She's worked as an owner and director of Rachana Women's Hospital and Fusion Fertility Center for 8 years thereafter. She's currently working as clinical director and senior reproductive medicine and IVF consultant at Nova IVF Fertility Surat since the last 6 years. She's an emotional and dreamy Piscean who is passionate about cricket, reading, and teaching. She used to be an avid reader in the past, and she rekindled the love for reading in the last couple of years. And she's a happy founder member and chairperson at PAB Surat. So once again, I welcome you, ma'am. I'm
Yeah.
so excited for the session today.
Thank you, Aparna, and hello to all viewers.
Next star of today, the panelist, uh, Mr. Upul. Welcome and good evening.
Thank you, Aparna. Thank you for having me.
So, to the viewers, I'd like to introduce Mr. Upul to you. Oh, just give me a second. So, just on a lighter note, this is going to be taking a little more time because Sir has achieved so much. So, Mr. Upul Nawaratne Bandra, he's the head of marketing for Sri Lanka Cricket, and he's the former head of marketing for Dialogue Asiata PLC. He's the honorary member of Marketing and Public Relations Advisory Committee of State Ministry of Urban Development, Coast Conservation, Waste Disposal, and Community Cleanness. He's into strategic marketing and he's a business consultant, corporate trainer, and lecturer. Um, Sir is highly accomplished business professional with over 3 decades of eh, progressive experience in strategic marketing, which encompasses branding, communications, research or analytics, media planning, buying, digital or social marketing, product development, and management, including an outstanding contribution to banking and financial sectors, office automation, telecom, automotive, education, sports industries, etc., in emerging markets. He has done a significant contribution for diverse organizations uh, and and to students through corporate training and lecturing. About the educational qualifications, Sir has done the Master of Business Administration and Postgraduate Institute of Management, PIM University of Sri Jayawardhanepura, Sri Lanka, and a bunch of diplomas and certified management accountant at Australia. And Sir has got an award for excellence in branding and marketing at South Asian Partnership Summit and Business Awards SAP's World HRD Congress. So, uh, other interests, I'd like the viewers to hold on a little bit more. There's still so much more there. So, he's into professional singing, Western classical, jazz, pop, and Eastern. He's a stage actor, Western and Eastern theater, adventure sports, climbing, hiking, camping, kayaking, snorkeling, etc. Cycling, road and mountain biking, photography, wildlife, street, landscape, portrait, and travel and cultures. So it's an honor that I'll be moderating, the session for panelists who are such distinguished persons. So once again, I welcome both of you. Welcome, Upul sir. So
Thank you. Thank you.
yes, so we are ready to start the session. So, firstly, I'd like to ask you opening remarks about the book. What are we going to learn today? Maybe a short description about the book. I'd start with Mona, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Aparna. So, I think from the title itself, you can easily guess what the book is about. So, the title reads Women, Work, and the Will to Lead. So, it's partly about feminism, but feminism should not be taken in the negative context because it defines the social, political, and economic equality among both the genders. It's also partly about work life balance, which most of the times, and that could be applicable to both men and women both. And regarding issues primarily that women face because of the gender inequalities, and not just the issues but to identify the barriers which are there, and to for encouraging women to speak out and find solutions to them. So as we go ahead, I think I'll be happy to share more about the book.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. Next, I'd like to ask Upul sir the same question. Opening remarks about the book. What are we going to learn today?
Well, this book is all about your attitude to life. I actually didn't know the word attitude had such a big meaning until I read it. See, the author says uh, your attitude determines how high you go in life. It's not really your IQ, but your attitude. See, everything that you have achieved and not achieved in your life can be traced back to your attitude. That's how important your attitude is. So, in very short, it's all about your attitude to life, and also the book talks about how a simple turn in your attitude can lead to success.
So, pivot. That is what it means.
That
Take a
yeah.
turn.
That's why it is pivot. That's the
That's
turn
what.
that you got to make. Yes.
So, uh, the next question is to Dr. Mona. So, what exactly does leaning in mean in this book?
Yes, so actually, what attracted me to the book was the title itself, that lean in. So, leaning in mainly for women is something which, where the author tries to say that women should be more assertive, more proactive, should take more of skill based or leadership roles depending on their choice, of course, rather than just becoming a mere spectator or a follower. So more so in the professional environment, but as you go about the whole book, in the end you realize that it can be applicable to, any environment for women. So it does encourages women to, leaning in means to believe in yourself, to feel or acknowledge that you are good enough and you deserve what you have achieved, either professionally or at, at your home. But whatever you have achieved is basically what you deserve, and you feel good about yourself. And she even acknowledges and accepts that it's not going to be easy. So even for a woman of her level, who is, economically and professionally highly successful, it was never easy, and it would never be easy even in future. But still it does inspire changes in our thought process, including both men and women. And if our thought process improves, we can transform our behaviors and in turn transform institutions and nations. So that is what leaning in means, that whatever you are doing, you give your full input. Uh, you feel you are good enough to do what you are doing, and you deserve equal respect and equal rights whenever, irrespective of gender.
So that was a very nice way of explaining the title to us, and of course, it brings in a lot of curiosity, and today, to the viewers, I'd like to bring to your attention. On one side, we have a book that talks about women empowerment and feminism, and on the other side, it is general, self development. But once again, like Mona ma'am said, this book is just not just for women. It needs to be read by everybody so that we know what the issues are, and uh, this has become a buzzing word once again. And this book, today in the flip side, it's going to be a really nice harmony between both the topics. So I'd like all our viewers to stay till the end and enjoy. Next to Mr. Upul. So, sir, why is attitude important? What is the emphasis that is given on attitude in this book?
See, I'll take something from what Mona mentioned a while ago. She said about giving your fullest in whatever you do, and also being proactive. Now, those are attitudes, irrespective of the gender, right? That's your attitude to life. Whatever that you're doing, you do your best. That's your attitude. If you do a mediocre job, and then and don't expect excellent results. Yeah, so you give your fullest. So that's your attitude. So attitude is everything. I mean, as I previously said, the author says your how high you go in life is determined by your attitude. Now he quotes a very interesting conversation. If you give me a little time, I actually like to give you all a bit glimpse of that. See, author meets a stranger while on a flight, so he initiates a discussion, rather chat. So author says, "Good to see you. How are you doing?" The stranger says, "Okay, I guess." Uh, what do you do for a living? The stranger asks. Author says, "Well, I'm a professional motivational speaker. I write books and give presentations on how to become a peak performer." Stranger says, "Tell me something. Why does everything go wrong for me?" Author is a little shocked here. He said, "Beats me. But if you talk to me for a few minutes, perhaps we can figure it out." So the stranger goes on with many, many negative stories. His failing marriage, issues with his job, financial problems, and says, "I'll never get ahead. I just can't do it. Nothing ever seems to work out." Now, then all of a sudden, he exclaims and says, Hold it, hold it, hold it. I know why everything goes wrong for me. Because I am wrong. I think wrong. I speak wrong. I act wrong. I'm just too negative all the time. So the stranger was right. His attitude was determining his attitude and everything else in his life. So same is true for all of us. The same is true for all of us. Um, and if you can give me a few more minutes, I actually like to quote a research a study which author has quoted in this book by uh, by Dr. Martin Seligman, a profound psychologist. Now, this doctor has taken a sample of 1,500 people and interviewed them and figured that 83% of this sample of 1,500 people uh, wanted to choose jobs purely to make money, purely to make money. The remaining 17% chose jobs with a lot of passion and a very positive attitude towards it. And 20 years later, he identifies 101 millionaires from this sample of 1,500 people. Surprisingly, he identifies and finds only 1 millionaire from this group who chose jobs purely with the intention of making money. And the balance 100 comes from people who chose jobs with a lot of passion. And what is even more surprising is 70% of these millionaires never went to even college. So this is the power of attitude, and the attitude was clearly determining the altitude of these people.
So that
Yeah.
was very interesting. The example and the conversation, the research example. I think those two are going to make this thing etched in our mind that how important attitude is, in order to be successful. And on the other hand, we are also talking about feminism, and they're also they're saying it's not gender, it's not the other things that matter. It's about how you are and what you do. Your efforts determine everything, and attitude contributes towards that in a great manner. So next, I'd like to go to Dr. Mona again. Um, so, how does the book describe or reflect the differences in men and women at the workplace?
Yes. So there are differences, firstly. So, and it's a kind of an irony that it's a paradox kind of a thing that on one hand, we need to acknowledge the differences because there are differences, right? So, on the one hand, we are talking about acknowledging the differences, and on the other hand, we are talking about equality. So it is a paradox, but it goes hand in hand. And unless and until we acknowledge the differences, there cannot be any equality. So if you say, the author says that if you look, like if you read somewhere that so and so was a female pilot, or a female racing car driver, or a female CEO, or a female president, so it comes as a surprise, that the female, you'll never, she said that I searched on Google about Facebook male CEO, so there were no results found. So the point was that when certain high level leadership posts or jobs are being described, it is kind of assumed that it is going to be a male who would be there, and if it is a female, it comes as a surprise. So and that is in a developed country like a United States of America, and who has never had a female president so far. And even there, in higher corporate jobs or higher, in politics, more than 85% posts are being held by men. So and she does describe in the whole book with a lot of demographic, social, and workplace data and research. So it's her personal experience as well as research based problems that she identifies, and she even proposes solutions to that. Now, coming to the differences is in the behavior of the men and women as well at workplace. So, a female employee would behave in a certain way, and a male employee would behave in a certain way. But the major difference lies in the perception of those behaviors. So, even men and women both, they perceive a certain kind of a behavior by a man in a different way, and a woman in a different way, which is very, it's very important and very interesting. So supposing, like, when you talk about someone at workplace being very ambitious and aggressive, so if those adjectives are applied to a male, it usually comes with a very positive, that so and so is very ambitious or very aggressive in his approach towards work. But the same adjectives, when you speak about a female, it somehow gives a negative underline to that, that, oh, she's so aggressive or she's so ambitious. So the same thing correlates in likability as well. So there's this whole chapter which she focuses on, success is inversely proportional to likability in a female. So the more successful a female, the less she is liked by everyone, including both genders, male and female as well. It's not just about men. But the same is not applicable with males. So if a male is highly successful, they are more respected for their qualities which made them successful. So and if a female is successful, it's like, oh, you're a woman, you would have done something to be successful. So, certain things which are very apt, which she describes. For example, there's a meeting, and if a woman is speaking, so the study says, and it is research based, that a woman who is giving her opinion or her point is more likely to be interrupted by both men and women as compared to a man. So if a man is giving his opinion, more people, let him finish his opinion or listen to his what he wants to say, as compared to when a woman is speaking. Same way, when they give a credit for some work to be done, the credit is more easier to be given to a man as compared to a woman in workplace, especially. And then she even describes other important parts in workplace, like negotiation skills, like mentoring and communication skills, where there are differences in man and woman. Because see, if a woman wants a higher a salary hike, so she's less likely to go and directly negotiate that I deserve this and I am so much skillful and I need this salary hike, as compared to a man. So more often than not, the women try to fit in the job. So they always try to fit into the system, rather than actually asking for what they deserve. Fitting in, when she talks about fitting in, it's like women even try to dress like men when they are into, work. So they try to wear a blazer, or things which usually conventionally it is a men driven clothing. So why? Because you want to fit in. So instead of fitting in, we should learn that we are different, and we should accept ourselves as being the same. uh, there's something which she even talks about at workplace, is queen bee syndrome. So conventionally it was that there were, most of the time there were men at the higher level, and supposing one female could somehow find her way towards the top, she herself would be a perpetrator of gender discrimination. Being a woman also can be a perpetrator of the gender discrimination. So it's like a queen bee. So she would not feel comfortable in other women, empowering other women or other employees to go ahead professionally, be more successful. So again, it feels that those are the things which are happening, and it should be, uh, taken into first thought about it, and then, and regarding solutions, There she describes certain nudging techniques, like small, small changes which can be brought around both by men and women. And nowadays, like most sensible and intelligent men do understand, and they are very proud of even men can be feminist. So, and thankfully, there are more and more men coming up to support feminism in the positive way. So, and the world would be a much happier place if all all the gender, irrespective of the gender, the whole population's potential is exploited. So, irrespective of the gender, Warren Buffett once said that it was easier for him to succeed professionally because he was competing with only 50% of the population, that is, the men. So, if he would have been competing with 100%, maybe he would not have been so successful. So, there are sometimes gross differences, and slowly and steadily, we should try to, accept it and try to improve.
So, firstly, I love the way you started the answer. You said, firstly, there are differences, and then we have to go hand and in order to, obtain equality, we are usually looking to show away the differences. And you said that it's a paradox. I think this book, gives a very nice insight as to how the paradox is and how it goes hand in hand. And then the workplace examples that you gave, the queen bee syndrome and all of that, those are very interesting and very relatable. So thank you for sharing. Next, I'd like to go to Mr. Upul. So, uh, so what is the importance of self confidence or self esteem that is explained in the book in terms of
Yeah.
attitude?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
You're saying
So
something.
yes. So, what is the importance of self-esteem and self-confidence in in terms of attitude? How does that play a role?
Yeah, yeah. Before I answer, actually, I was actually listening to Dr. Mona's answer, the previous answer. I think it's quite evident, and then it has a lot to do with attitude. I'm
Yes.
sure she would agree. It's a lot to do with how we look at life and look at the other gender, and then you know. So I love the way it is being connected. Yeah, coming back to self-esteem. See, lack of it has a huge bearing on your progress. Lack of self-esteem. So you see, you if you want to have self-esteem, the trick here is you got to love yourself. Yeah, because then only you can actually, and you got to believe in yourself. I can actually give thought I'll quote an example outside the book. See this, it was 2017 Britain Got Talent. I quoted this example when I presented this book some time ago. See, a shoddy looking man um, showing no confidence appears on stage. So judges wouldn't take him seriously either. So before he starts his performance, I'll go back to his background. Robert Paul Potts is from London, Bristol, London. So younger days, he figured that he could sing very well. He performed in college and parties and all that, but he never believed he could be a great singer one day. He's able to do that. So he had no confidence. He never believed in himself. So, like many others, he went to college and then took a very ordinary job as a mobile salesman. About 25 years passed, nothing much happened in his career. But his love for music, for some reason, didn't die. So one day in 2017, he decided to appear on Britain Got Talent. So coming back to that particular moment, just before his performance. Any guesses, Aparna?
Um, it's slightly tough,
Or
but I
anyone
think
from
it's definitely a happy ending.
Well, yes, you're right. Because his performance not only shocked the judges but entire nation.
Wow.
And today he's one of the best opera singers living his dreams. So this is what self-esteem can do for you. So to build, what the good news is, it needs a bit of practice and the willingness. That's all. So you got to do a bit of positive affirmation all the time, and that's what you need to do. And one more thing on self-esteem. You got to identify. It's very important that you identify your strengths and play to your strengths. Example from cricket, if you want to take, if you're good at batting, I think your primary focus should be on that, while improving your bowling skills and fielding, of course. And that's what probably Sachin did and Sanat Jasuri did, right? They mastered how to hit that ball. Right? So you got to focus on your strengths, and also you got to get out of your comfort zone all the time and push your limits. So that's a bit of self-esteem for you.
So I think that was a wonderful example, and the effort and about self-esteem, the affirmations. Now, suppose somebody decides to be having a positive attitude from today, and only today, if they do the affirmations, it won't help. So it has to develop and has to become your attitude. So
Absolutely, it has to be a continuous process until you
Yes.
become very confident, and
that's
and, and onwards. It has to be a continuous process. Absolutely.
so I think the example and everything is making us, have this in our mind for a long, long time. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing.
Pleasure. Absolutely pleasure.
So next is an interesting topic. What does Cheryl talk about work-life balance in this book?
So yeah, that's every woman's dilemma and every woman's woe. But first thing, why is this question always and only asked to women? So she even speaks that the most dreaded question ever asked to a woman is, how do you balance your work and life, especially a working woman. But she says that uh, you can never have it all. So a person who says that I'm balancing work and life, irrespective of him or her being a woman or a man, is lying. So on one hand, there is work, there is life, and there is no balance. So we have to accept the fact that we should not try to, have everything at one time. Usually it happens that whenever we talk of working women and work life balance, we never talk about working men and work life balance, but mostly it is for women. We tend to pit them against homemakers. So it is a homemaker, it's kind of a mommy war. So she uses the word mommy war. So, it's homemaker versus a working woman. And then both feel that we are not up to the mark. So we tend to judge each other. A working woman tends to judge a home stay-at-home mom. We tend to feel guilty about what we are unable to have it, and we envy the other. And all the things are not correct, because we are trying to live up to some inconsistent ideals which are not never possible or never happening. By leaning in, so you can either be an ideal accomplished professional, or you can be an ideal accomplished parent. You can never be both. So first thing, we have to accept that. Secondly, if a woman is a working woman and she's trying to lean in, it is indirectly providing a financial security for, maybe for childcare. Maybe once she reaches at a higher post, she is likely to have more flexible working hours. So it's not that a woman cannot be professionally, she can have a little bit of both at that time. uh, Another thing which an example she gives is that if a man helps at home, it is usually considered as special. So if a father goes to pick up and drop the children, or if a father cooks something for the children, it's considered very special. If a mother does it, it is taken for granted. So and if both are present, you know who is the designated parent. It is always the mother. If both are present, father would be guilt free without, if both are at home, a father would be maybe talking to on phone or watching TV guilt free. If a mother is doing it, she's always feeling guilty about not giving enough time to the children. So the solutions to this is, there's one more study I forgot to tell, which she compared. This is something positive for working women. That there was a study 25 years back when it was found that a homemaker, a stay-at-home mom, would give 11 hours a week for designated childcare. And recently, 25 years down the line, the study says that even working women give the same time. So it's 11 hours per week. Because when you come from work, you're focused, because what you have missed out during work, you try to compensate for that. So the solutions to this is, one, which she very, with a good sense of humor, she says that choose a good life partner who is supportive enough. And I understand that it is better said than done, because many times women do not have choices. So, but still, if given a choice, think very wisely when you choose a life partner who is supportive, not just verbally, but in actually doing the 50% of the tasks at home or work. So that is one thing. Then she rightly says that you avoid unnecessary sacrifices. So we women try to feel a pride in, sacrificing things. That, oh, I sacrificed my work for this. So try to avoid unnecessary sacrifices. Feel comfortable with your choices. No need to meet every demand of you. So if there are too many demands, you need not meet every demand, and it is perfectly fine. You need to draw lines somewhere. You need to, put your foot down. You need to set limits and stick to those limits. And the third thing is, we need to validate each other, because see, before expecting validation from men, we women should validate each other and appreciate each other whenever deserved, so that that is the first step to, others validating us. So if we validate each other, obviously slowly and steadily, others would be the validation would come from others as well. And parenting again plays a very important role. So parenting means not just by a woman, by both the parents. For example, if a child is routinely or comfortable in seeing the father do part of the, laundry, or part of the kitchen, or part of the cleaning, or some stuff like that, and if the child is comfortable in seeing the mother go out to work or professionally being busy or successful at times, so if the child is routinely seeing these things in the parenting, then those children, irrespective of a boy or a girl, would grow up with that expected set of thoughts, that it is the skill, passion, and talent, like sir said very rightly, that it should be your passion which should drive your income or earning, or anything. So irrespective of gender, it should be your skill set, your passion, and your talent, which for on the basis of which they would decide their future. So we cannot put it in the child's head that this is what is expected of you. It should be their choice what they want to do. So these are a few solutions that Cheryl has nicely shared with a lot of more examples and everything. But
Let's
it
leave it for
yeah,
the readers to
yes,
read by themselves. So that was a really nice insight to this very common urge in women to be the best of both worlds. So
Absolutely.
I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, so the insights are unbelievable. I'm having a great session, a great evening today, learning so many things from both of you who have uh, who are putting across the book to us so well that it's as though we are reading it by ourselves. So next, I'd like to go to Mr. Upul. So This is an interesting one. Why does the author says that worry is a waste? Oh, just a minute. I'm so sorry. I want to mention this to all the audience. You can put up comments to us so that we can see, and maybe if you want to ask something to the panelists also, we will take it up from the comments here. So, with that being said, I'd like to go to Mr. Upul. So, worry is a waste. Why
Yeah.
does the author say that?
See, author says something very interesting about worry. He says worry is about paying interest on a loan which you never had, which is so true. And he talks about four types of and see why we worry, because we have problems. So he says only people who don't have problems are dead. Others have problems. So you make it worse by worrying, right? He talks about four types of waste. So worry is a waste of time. Just imagine you worry, you waste 1 hour a day worrying, just 1 hour. That's 365 hours in a year. That's how much you waste. You don't realize. And worry drains you off because your hard disk has to really work hard when you worry. So it drains you off, and leading it connects to the other one, the other ways, which is worry is a waste of health. Worrying, doctor would know, worrying leads to so many health complications, depression, apart from depression and anxiety. And fourthly, this is very, very interesting. Worry is a waste of spirituality because worry focuses on what you don't want to happen. And that is the exact opposite of spirituality. And those two don't go together. So, how do you handle this? See, you got to put now, author says, when there's a problem, you got to put worry into perspective because worry is a choice. You can choose not to be worried if you like. That's your choice, right? So when you're worried, you have to put the worry into perspective and probably analyze the situation. Write the key issues on a piece of paper, and probably you realize you're much at ease. And also, you got to give yourself confidence that you're able to cope with it, that you're capable of it. Yeah.
Yes, very true.
Yeah. So, see, other thing is when you're worried, the complete focus is on you. What about me? What will happen to me? What will others think of me? That's that happens when you're worried. So focus on someone else who's in need for a change, and you'll probably find out that your worries will fade away, go away. And this is what probably Florence Nightingale did. She has so many problems, but she focuses on the issues of others. Yeah. So that's a bit of how to handle worry and
So
get out of
I
worry.
Yeah, so that was really insightful and really, thought provoking. When you worry, you become so selfish you don't realize, and you're only thinking about yourself, and uselessly thinking about yourself in the past and what the future would be like. And the solution that the book gives is really wonderful. Do something for others. Maybe somebody is in need, and again that will come back to you in ways you can be, it'll be a surprise. So I think that's a wonderful insight. And just to add a little bit of my personal experience to this, um, I even I have this habit of worrying, "Oh, how will my exams go and all of that." So I started this simple thing of making portraits whenever I worry. So 1 year down to doing that, I now have over 150 pieces of art, of different kinds, lettering and all of that. So I
Fantastic.
think that's really evident, and that's kind of really goes with the example that you gave us, that if you worry for an hour every day, that would be 365 hours of worrying. So we can't take so much of that's going to be so expensive for our health, for our spiritual health.
Yeah,
That was really put very well by you through the book.
yeah, because we
So
never get that time again, and then I
yes,
don't think anybody has benefited by worrying in life.
true, true. So worry is a waste. So thank you
Absolutely,
for sharing that.
absolutely.
Yes. So next, I'd like to go to Mona ma'am. So we're getting comments saying this is a very useful discussion. So thanks to the audience. Um, so talking about the obstacles to women empowerment. So what does Sandberg mention? Like, is it internal or external?
That's it's she mentions that it is obviously both, because when you look at the external factors, like you need to bring about institutional changes, you need to bring about systemic changes, you need to think about social and political will to bring about changes and commitment to bring about those changes. So when you look at the wider picture, it seems it's always external, but it has to begin from the internal. So the more focus in the book is more about the internal thing, because that we can do. So but that doesn't mean that it negates the influence of the external factors or external obstacles. So for example, for the external obstacles, she mentions that she was like 7 8 months pregnant and she was late for a meeting, and she at I think she was at Google. She's currently the CEO of, for the audience, she's the chief operational officer of Facebook, but previously she was with Google. So at Google, she found that there was no parking for pregnant women. So as she was late, she had to park very far away, and she had to rush to the meeting. And then she suddenly realized that we can bring about smaller changes, and then which would make the life easier for pregnant women, pregnant employees who are working there. So those are the higher level changes which sometimes we fail to even ask for it. She simply walked in the cabin of the her head, and she demanded that why don't we have a parking for women, and they said, oh, we never thought about it, let us have it from tomorrow. So certain things you have to ask for it. So when it comes to internal, the first thing that she says is that don't be afraid to speak up or ask for the changes you want, because many times you tend to, as I previously said, you try to fit in with the fear that if we speak up, it might make things worsen, or it is safer to accept the injustice, because it is safer, so at least situation will not worsen. So with that fear, people don't speak up. But you methods in which you can speak up without fighting for it. There can be sensible discussions and sensible solutions to many things. So first thing, in internal, she says that women should learn to speak up for what they want. Secondly, feminism should not be considered as something, a negative term. So usually it is labeled a woman is fighting, or aggressiveness, or you are whining, or you are demanding some special treatment, or it is considered as unhealthy. So even women tend to feel that no, we are not feminist. So that hardcore feminism kind of a thought process should be not be there, because it just means equality, nothing else. It doesn't mean a power struggle. So that should come from within, firstly. uh, she again also mentions that social gains are never handed out. So you cannot keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So you have to seize the opportunities and try to change those. They will never be handed out. It took years of women above us. I mean, women of previous generation, women and men both, of our previous generations, who have fought against much of an injustice, and the things which we are taking for granted, being a woman. For example, simplest things like a voting right. So can you imagine a world where women did not have a voting right? But it was there even in the United States of America, and women fought for it, and then they could get the voting rights. So for certain things, you have to cumulatively, both men and women should cumulatively try, because an equal environment is going to be make a happier world. So when there is an equality, both men and women are happy, because even men have issues when, the whole burden of earning, or the whole burden of family care or looking after the family, if the whole burden is on men, even they need their time, or even they need work life balance. So if there is an equal sharing by women also, it would make the world happier for both men and women. So you should never have that competition between women also, that who is raising children in a better way, or who is having a better marital relationship, or who is giving more time to fun. And with the advent of social media, this competition is increasing. So that should not be there. Everyone should have their own personal goals, and they should be free to choose their goals. So that should be come from within. And slowly, probably, if it comes from within, for example, I'll just 1 minute, I'll share my own story. That when I was brought up in a very rural area where owning a car, by seeing a car also we were happy. It was considered as a luxury. So owning a four wheeler was very, in the whole village there was hardly maybe one family which had a small car. So when I had to learn driving, it was overwhelming for me, because I was, and that too in a city. When I shifted to a city and when I had to learn driving, I was not comfortable with that. So my husband nicely said that, "Oh, what is so difficult? You are operating so many difficult cases, and you're doing so many complicated surgeries day in and day out. And
True.
driving is just, it's a matter of days that you'll be comfortable with it." So that was just one sentence, and I felt, oh, it's not going to be difficult. But then it was not coming from within me. So that was a change that I had to bring in myself, that it's not going to be, for a woman, driving is not going to be that tough. But probably it was from where I had come. For me it was difficult, not for most of the other women. So there are changes which we can bring about. We need to have our own goals and our own choices. And feminism is just about freedom to choose, and it's not a war, and it's not a fight.
So I think that was a really needed, explanation, because true that social media and all of that, there's so much information, misinformation around the place, that people think it is a bad word, and even women don't want to associate themselves with anything closer to feminism, not even saying that I am a feminist. So that's pretty sad for people who are actually fighting for it, and want to bring about that change. And I think for those who are still thinking, who are not comfortable with this word, I think they should pick this book up, and read and understand what it really means. And the obstacles and all of that we face, I'm sure we would have seen it in different forms in our own environments. And I think the solutions, and what you gave us, your personal experience, that it should come from within, all of that is very insightful. And it's going to it's giving us a lot of thought provoking solutions to us. So thank you for that. Next, to Mr. Upul. So how does the author explain about handling failure in life? So just now we talked about obstacles on one hand, so now
Yeah.
this is also a bigger obstacle to going forward in life. So
Yeah,
see
I
what
like
we
the
have to.
example on the driving lessons. You know what? There, what she needed was a bit of self confidence
Yes.
to to say that it is nothing compared to what she does as a profession. So, see, if you assume something is difficult, it becomes difficult, and if you assume something bad is going to happen, they often do. So that's your attitude to life. Yeah. Getting back to failure, yes. See, when people fail, what happens? Apart any thoughts?
What happens? It
Oh,
feels like
yes.
the world is going to end, but that's not true.
I know, and they give up.
Yes, they give up. True.
A lot of people, majority, don't even try again. See, he brings a very interesting example here with this inventor, Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb. See, it's a known fact that he's failed so many times. And in 1914, for him, yes, this inventor was raged by a massive fire. His operation was completely destroyed. In fact, he was actually when the fire was on, he was enjoying the flames. What else to do? So I mean, but he didn't give up. But see, if he had given up, he would be still in dark, right?
True. Very true.
So 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 it's important that we define what failure is. Failure is in the part. It's actually part of. It's an inevitable part, I would say, or the process that leads to success. See, when we work towards our goals of success, failure happens. Just that's part of the process. And see, I was thinking our cultures, especially Asian cultures, have a disrespect uh, for when people fail. You know, if somebody fails an exam, he's treated as a loser. So this attitude has to be changed as a whole, you know. And also, if you look at none of the successful people achieve anything overnight without failing. Another thing he highlights is frequent mistakes almost always preceded phenomenal success. So he says failure is not falling down, it's about staying down. So how you handle failure is first thing, he says, when you fail, refuse to blame anyone. Take responsibility.
Yes.
It's a common mistake that happens. Right? You you start blaming everybody else but not you. But you shouldn't be blaming anybody, right? The second thing he says, when you fail, you got to stay calm because it gives you perspective. It gives you wisdom and right and courage to look at the situation and move forward. Yeah. And also, thirdly, he says you've got to approach failure as a learning experience. When you fail, you learn. And you don't do the same mistake again. That's your learning. And you become mature. And you got to step up with determination. See, we're talking about feminism here with Dr. Mona. Take examples like this great author from Great Britain, J.K. Rowling. She fails miserably so many times. Her work was rejected so many times. She had a failed marriage. She was depressed. She was homeless. She gave up. Right? She's the living billionaire author today with Harry Potter. And look at examples like Oprah Winfrey, right? And Beyonce. She failed so many times before she did Hello, the biggest hit. So it's not the end of the world, you know. Unfortunately, millions of people don't even come close to their full potential because of their negative attitude, and they don't even know about it. Sadly,
So yes, so those two steps are very simple but very essential for somebody who is down there. You know, first take responsibility. That's the first step to rising up. So that's very true. And the examples you gave and the uh, all the people and failure is it's a precedent to success. So that's a really
Absolutely,
nice way of
absolutely.
looking at it. And staying calm, all of that
Yeah.
is really going to help change perspective of ourselves, bring that positive attitude, and then move forward. So I think that's really well explained uh, by you through the book. So thank you. So next, I'd like to okay, I think okay, this is the last question to Dr. Mona. So, do you find the author's advice is applicable to women of all socioeconomic strata across the world, or only for women who are, working in similar professional or educational background as Cheryl?
So, when you initially read the book, you feel that it's more so for the professional or the working women. But as you gradually go through, you realize that most of the things are applicable in many of the scenarios for any women. Some of the things are applicable to men as well. So it's not that, but because she has come from that educational or that socioeconomic financial background, her examples and the situations that she describes are more relatable to working women. But probably and when in country like ours where there are so many rural population and so many illiterate or I mean less educated women are there, or if uh, but still I feel that so many messages are applicable. Probably they may need to lean in different scenarios than the ones described in the book, or they may need solutions which are different than described in the book, but still the base of the problem would be the same. So I feel that the problem or the discrimination would be the same. Say who is into agriculture, all the family members are going to work. So when you see farming, even the women folk are in the agriculture. It seems stable to all the socioeconomic strata. Probably in a different way than this. Probably the solutions would be different, but the soul of the matter would remain the same. And maybe some of us can write about the situation in our as well, and look to solutions for our women or in different scenarios.
So that was really nice. So it is applicable for people of most different status, and the last suggestion was very interesting. We should write about it and we should bring about that awareness. So thank you for sharing that. So I'd like to ask Mr. Upul the closing remarks about this book. So anything that you'd like to add that will interest the readers to go and grab and read this book.
Well, yes, I think it's a it takes a revolutionary approach, you know, in terms of changing attitude. Changing your attitude and having a positive outlook to your life is extremely vital, and that undoubtedly determine your success. And I'd like to leave with this quote: "Winner is a loser who tried one more time." Right.
That made all the
So if
difference.
you give up, I know. So if you give up, there's only one loser, that's you, and the process ends.
Uh, that's a sixer at the end. That was a very nice quote.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing, sir. Next, I'd like to ask Mona ma'am the same question. Any closing remarks and leaving our readers with something really bashing that they go and pick up that book and read it right away.
So I think, I don't know what to say, but still, I think that all women should learn to speak up. And, what I already said, that some of us should, maybe if that part of that book is not applicable to certain strata of women, maybe someone, she even wrote a book on, I think, teenagers and college, lean in for college students as well. So probably it can be expanded to different, strata of women as well. And I think it's one thing is we should be happy about, being women. We should yearn for equality and not power struggle. So it's not a war, it's not a power struggle. I have wonderful men in my life who have been, I'm very thankful to my parents and my husband and my in-laws for making my husband as he is. So it comes from everywhere. And fortunately I have had men in my life, personal life as well as professional life, who have been very respectful and very, it never felt as if there was a discrimination. So that is what that we begin from. Charity begins at home, so let us begin with our homes, and then slowly we can progress to changing the world.
So that was wonderful. So both the books that talked about that were discussed here today were uh, about bringing that revolutionary change. Like in both the cases, now feminism once again has become that buzzword, and also Indra Nooyi has released her new book, and everybody is once again talking about work-life balance, how she did it, and how we can do it. So it's really about. The efforts and the attitude, and that women or men, anybody can do it, everybody can do it. And so we got a lot of insights on what matters, for being successful and for being for leading that happy life that we all dream of together, together, and going towards that ideal world. So it was a wonderful session today, and I'm sure the audience also have enjoyed really well. And since this is going to be there, I think we'll have, even I will be revisiting this because it was so wonderful. So thank you for all your insights, and it was a pleasure and honor to be doing this job today, and being, with two distinguished persons. So I'm really grateful. Thanks to Pick a Book India, thanks to Pick a Book Global, and for making this happen, and for all the discussion, and we're looking forward to more such sessions. So to the audience, once again I would like to say that you can drop us a message on Pick a Book Club, on our website, or on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, if you're interested to join this global movement, and inculcate this habit of reading that is going to make wonders to you, and give you that all that you dream of, just by starting this small habit of reading. So we are a community of readers. So we share presentations every week in our in our club meetings, and we get to know 52 books in a year at least, and that's really exciting. And thank you once again to all the audiences, readers, guests who joined in. Thank you to the panelists, and thank you, Picabo, for the opportunity.
Bye. Thank you.